What's the craziest thing an ex-friend, lover has done to you? She made a key to my house and stole my dog after we broke up. She then called me and told me she found said dog running loose in my neighborhood. Neighbor had it all on video. Dog was very confused. She called my boss, told him I was embezzling. Took 3 audits to clear me. Helped me pack. Knew I was putting things into storage. Put raw chicken into a Rubbermaid with appliances they knew I wouldn't open for months. My friend's girlfriend called the police and told him that he had told her that he kept hearing voices telling him to kill her, which was a complete fabrication. The cops came and put him in a psychiatric ward for 3 days of observations until the doctors finally believed he was sane. She did it during final exam week when he was in college. She was straight evil. Flew in from overseas to support me when my father unexpectedly died and then proceeded to break up with me on the day of the funeral. Woke up from a heavy night of drinking next to my ex. She asked if I wanted to try to put a baby in her, and when I said no, she pulled a knife on me asking if I wanted to die. Messaged my relatives on social media convincing them I was trying to commit suicide. She fabricated screenshots of a conversation and everything. I'm just lucky my parents understand me enough to know that if I was going to do that I wouldn't tell a girl I was with for a few months. Showed up to my parents' house while I was with my new girlfriend and told my parents how we couldn't break up because I had sex with her and so we had to be life partners. Parents were ultra conservative, so it was a fun time. My ex donated a kidney to me. It still wows me how she decided without even a moment of hesitation. Great person for sure. My husband. We were high school sweethearts. After 4 kids and 16 years of marriage he cheated on me. But he didn't tell me for over a year. On the day he chose to tell me about his affair I was in the middle of chemo for breast cancer. I was bald, sick and had only one breast. My mom had passed away 10 days earlier, and it was my birthday. Good times. This was 12 years ago. Happily I am healthy, my kids are thriving and we are divorced. But yeah, never saw that one coming. Came over to my house and punched me awake because I didn't answer her phone call. Because I was sleeping. Oh, and she stabbed me with a pencil. This thread makes me feel better about being single. I learned the whole cheating lesson from an ex, and honestly the worst part about it wasn't even the act itself. It was the fact that to this day she legitimately doesn't believe she did anything wrong. After all, she still loves me. It's just sex with everyone else. So, therefore, I'm the asshole for dumping her. Counting the years till my son turns 18 and I can just block her number for good. One time my girlfriend at the time was staying over. I'd been at work late the night before so I wanted to sleep in. She tried to wake me. It didn't work so I fell back to sleep. So after an unknown amount of time, I was in deep sleep. She apparently lost patience. She put her mouth directly against my ear and screamed as loud as she could. A high-pitched horror movie scream. The pain was immediate. It's been about 15 years and my left ear, if I'm in a loud place, buzzes like I've got a wasp in my ear. It sounds exactly like a blown-out speaker. This was just one of the things she did. When I broke up with her she told all her friends I beat her up and they still believe her. I was in the military at the time. Ex called the base and told him I was passing her secrets. Also called my mom and told her I died, but the army wouldn't tell her. And called my landlord to tell them I was killed so they should release the apartment. Yay. That ended up being hell for me. The military takes that shit very seriously. I was pulled out of formation and arrested, no idea what is going on. Took 2 weeks before they believed me and released me back to my unit. By then the landlord had actually started boxing up all my stuff to sell off. I still think about the karma she has coming to her at some point. And we had only dated for maybe 3 months. WTF. She was crazy. Cheated on me and sent me videotapes of it, greeting me in him and telling me I'd never be enough while still blackmailing me so I wouldn't leave. Edit. It was a male ex. Not a she. I don't know why anyone would assume that lol. Got mail delivered to my house when she found out I was going to break up with her. Then wouldn't leave when I did break up with her. I called the police and since she received mail at my house they said it was officially her residence as well. I had to call my landlord and have him evict me to get her to leave. Once she left he rescinded the eviction notice and I moved back in. Came downstairs, he was cleaning his gun, heard him name bullets for me. Tried to tell me she was pregnant when I broke up with her for being a compulsive liar, which just confirmed that she was indeed a compulsive liar. An ex poisoned my dog. She literally stole my bed. She attacked me with a ukulele, while screaming. We had been arguing, heatedly, and she went to another room. I assumed she was just getting some space and cooling off. A moment later she came running out of the room, screaming and swinging a little guitar at me. We didn't break up then, but eventually did, and that incident was the main reason. However, until then I could never be calm if she was in another room. She would punch me in the stomach in the spot that makes you lose your breath, almost every day, because she thought it was funny. My emotionally abusive ex and I found each other on a dating site about 5-6 years after our relationship fell apart. I had made the mistake of reaching out to her, believing she'd grown as a person and maybe we could get some closure. Her exact words, "Ha ha, you're gonna die alone," when I had one lung for a hole between waiting for a donor. I had an ex-friend stab me in the chest where I didn't have a lung. Because he thought it wouldn't hurt because I didn't have a lung. Told me he had just tried to secure a gun so he could kill everyone I cared about. Ex-friend of about 6 months in my case. First off, he decided to not be friends with me after an argument over kickball. We were on the same team. Now he won't so much as make eye contact with me. We even still play sports against each other sometimes, and him trying to get me out in dodgeball was the only time he'd even look in my direction. We still have a lot of mutual friends, and we were even at a mutual friend's house yesterday and he wouldn't acknowledge me. The crazy part, we are 30 adult men, and I feel like I'm dealing with a child. I'm not the lover, partner in this scenario, but basically my dad was upset with my mom for negligent behavior towards my younger siblings, so he started referring to them as our kids when talking to me because I was the one taking care of them. He also said, "Here's your child support payment," when he gave me money to buy food for them. My mom is the abusive one, but the way he handled it was pretty yikes. Don't drag me into it, man. Took pics of me and my phone number and created a Grindr account. I got so many dick pics. Was pretty funny though. Got into a fight at the strip club that I didn't agree to go to. Took my keys, threw it away, then drove off with my phone. I was far away from home, 2 a.m., walking alone. With a bunch of bruises. Thank God, I find a way out of that toxic bullshit. Not exactly crazy, but we were kids. My ex-best friend bullied me for over 5 years in primary school. It was like a masterclass in abusive friendships. You're not allowed to talk to them or I'll stop being your friend because no one else will tolerate you, sort of thing, and it was coming from a 7-year-old girl. She used to hit me a lot and was the reason I had believed I was fat even though I was a really tiny wee girl. The biggest thing though was when it was our big theater production at the end of school. The entire school was watching and also our parents. I went on stage and she tripped me up as I went up the stairs, leading to me smacking onto the set and knocking a bunch of stuff over. One of the most embarrassing moments of my life, and I was only 10. She left for another man. Marry him. Within a year she wanted to have sex with me. Poke holes in my condoms. Cheated on me. Then cheated on me again after we went to months of therapy. Then emailed my parents and told them I was bad at sex. Smashing a salt lamp across my shin, shoving me downstairs, kicking me full force in the jaw causing it to pop ever since, cheating, lying, using me for a few grand under false pretenses, leaving me stuck with nowhere to go and stuck out in freezing raining for 8 hours, gave my sweet loving dog who never knew a bit of meanness in her life to someone who starved, beat, abused, then eventually shot and killed her. That's just some of the highlights. Got a tattoo of me on his back, dumped me 2 weeks later, wanted to get back together 2 months later. When I refused, he slit his wrists in my driveway. My ex had BPD and complex PTSD. She wrote a blog about me where everything from the way I walked down the road to the way I paid for things was abusive. She sent this out to all of our mutual friends and acquaintances. To top it all off, she falsely accused me of raping her in the blog. Like goddamn, man, I was too terrified of this person to not ask for explicit consent. Eventually she got her anarchist friends to egg my house and, I think, break into my house and steal a bunch of things. Mine tried to hit me with his car because I stopped him from unaliving himself. Lol. Used to run a small DIY punk venue. My ex, who was angry with me at the time, came to a huge Halloween show we put on, went into the bathroom, lit the trash can on fire, locked the door behind her and left. I busted the door open and extinguished the fire before the building caught. I had approximately 250 kids in the venue that night. SMH. Met me for a date, went to go meet her parents, went upstairs and fucked her brother-in-law and left with me to resume our date. I found out after the fact, got tested and dumped her ass. Sent me $1 on Venmo just to say one last fuck you. Ex-best friend. Secretly very jealous of everything in my life. Women, friends, etc. Secretly gathered information over years of time and used it to attempt to ruin every relationship with a woman I had and trying to get with them. Still wondering if he was secretly in love with me. My ex-fiancé married my sister. Told some crazy and untrue stories. I call them untrue stories rather than lies as there was some truth in them. It puts you in a position of having to explain things that are no one's business, and the complicated explanation makes it sound like you're lying anyway. Attempted to catfish me on Black Planet using a picture she manually snapped from a magazine as her profile picture. I could see the seam down the center of the picture. I knew it was her because she had a very poor grasp of grammar and she makes specific mistakes that no one makes. When we met on the site, before I realized who she was, I asked why she was single. She stated that her ex died 2 years ago. Considering she pulled a gun on me in a prior instance, that may well have ended up being true. Edit. I misspelled grammar. Cheated on me while our daughter was 6 months old. Lead right to my face about it. I had to find out for myself through our security cameras. Today, nearly 3 years later, and 2 days after ex has had second child with man she cheated on me with, I learn that I have PTSD. I still keep in contact with ex because we share custody. Social worker gave me courage to open a message from her that was simply a picture of my daughter holding her new baby sister. I broke down in tears. I got therapy set up at the end of the month. We'd been broken up for about 10 months and hadn't spoken in 7. For completely unrelated reasons after our breakup, I'd moved across the country, as in, I had been living on the East Coast and moved to California. She had found out where I lived, flown out there, rented a car, and was parked on my block scouting out my house. In the car was a pair of binoculars, a book on birdwatching, to explain to any passersby why she was staring around a neighborhood with binoculars, and a cat carrier. She didn't have a cat. I did. She was planning to break into my house and steal my cat. She had even bought a return flight ticket back to the East Coast with the pet fee paid. This girlfriend, on and off for over 5 years, told me she only dates guys 6 feet 2 inches and above. I told her my height was 5 feet 10. She didn't believe me and told me I was at least 6. I showed her my driver's license. Literally the next day she calls me up and says it's not going to work. Keep in mind we had been dating on and off for over 5 years by this point lol. Watched as their friend did shit to me while I was sleeping thumbs up. Ex-best friend would beg me to get on so I could listen to her troubles. I tried sharing my troubles once, and she gave literally the worst advice, and I told her I couldn't do that. She said, well, I can't help you if you won't help yourself, and unfriended and blocked me. We had been friends for 12 years. I told her I was super anxious about midterms and was fighting with my folks. She told me to quit, halfway through senior year of college, and to move out of my parents' house, which I couldn't afford at the time. I just needed a drink some chamomile tea, and maybe we can talk about how you can solve this.